the Everything Sparkle Show. With us, we have Drew. Drew, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, considering the circumstances.
True.
How do you feel about everything that's been going on?
We're kind of in uncharted territory at the moment. Um, there's a lot of people really nervous. There's some people who are suffering because their businesses are starting to tank or they're having to lay employees off. You have a lot of people worried. And then we have people who are sick.
Everyone's probably looking to you for answers. Did you get a lot of that when everything first started unfolding? You get an overload of calls, overload of what are we supposed to do, that you have all the answers?
Well, initially when all of this kind of started, we have good staff. So the staff people were the ones fielding the questions. Occasionally we would get asked for guidance, and quite frankly, everything moves so fast. Things may change before the end of this show. I just don't know. Things are just moving very fast right now.
Has this been one of the most challenging events that you've encountered while you've been mayor of Clovis?
Oh, absolutely. When I was with the Clovis Police Department, we went through the recession. It seemed like every time we turned around, they were asking us for another $1 million. It was very frustrating, but that was a process that took months. This is turned around in 8 to 10 days. It's just been very pretty unprecedented.
And laws keep on changing between counties and cities, correct? Why is there such a separation? Because in some of the other states, for example, my brother lives in Kentucky. He said when something happened, it was the whole state as a whole. And like on St. Patty's Day, I know there were differences with the Clovis bars and the Fresno bars of what was closing, and the restaurant and bars. There was a big difference. Is that still happening, or now we're on the same page, Fresno and Clovis?
Well, actually, on St. Patty's Day, we closed our bars down. So none of the Clovis bars were open on St. Patrick's Day, just like the ones in Fresno. We're all on the same page because that's the governor's order covered establishments like that. So I think we're all doing things. I think if you have a business in Fresno and a business in Clovis, the same rules apply.
Well, when everything was first announced last Wednesday, a lot of people were saying, well, we're in Clovis and we're in Fresno, so we don't have to abide by this. And I got flooded with questions, which is why I can imagine you were, because I work at the gym, and so everyone's like, well, is that gym okay? And I'm like, no, we went dark both places in both Fresno and Clovis. So I was wondering if there was a big confusion on your end about what was going on in Clovis and what was going on in Fresno.
Well, initially on Wednesday, when the city of Fresno came up with their shelter in place, we did not follow along. I was at a meeting that morning, in fact, that afternoon, with the county health officer. And at that point, I think we had 3 confirmed COVID cases. And it was our opinion, based on that taking that extreme measure wasn't the best thing to do for the city of Clovis. City of Fresno did what they do, and they have the absolute right to do that, as we do in our city to do something else. Thursday evening changed. The governor made it statewide, and so everybody's on the same playing field.
So how do you feel about that? Does it make everything pretty confusing where one county's doing something, one city's doing something, and it's not all across the board?
Well, the good thing is with the state order, we're all abiding by the same rules.
Now we are.
Now we are. And that only really, it was a 24-hour period that things were a little different. If the governor's order had not come out, would we have eventually gotten to a shelter in place in Clovis? That's speculation. I don't know. I believe we're at 6 COVID cases now. But there are a lot of people who haven't been tested yet, or their tests haven't come back. So it's still a moving target, but the point's moot. The governor came out with the order, and everybody's duty bound to abide by it.
And what power do you have as mayor? When Fresno did, could you say, oh, Fresno's doing it, we're going to do it just as a precaution because it's coming to us, we can do that? Or do you have power like that as a mayor?
No. What on the Monday previous, we gave the city manager the power to make immediate decisions for public safety. So if the city manager had agreed with that process, we could have done that. Now, as the mayor of Clovis, it's different from the mayor of Fresno. Mayor of Fresno, you're elected as the mayor. In Clovis, I'm one of the council members. The gavel rotates amongst the council members. I generally get the last word at a council meeting. I get to call on people. So I have some regulatory things that I can do, but it's not an all-knowing, all-powerful Oz kind of situation.
What are some of your roles as the mayor of Clovis?
Well, you preside over meetings.
Okay.
You're the signatory for official documents. Obviously, you're the face of the city at functions. I have the ability to appoint people to commissions and things like that. It's fun at times. Sometimes it's a lot of work, but this is what I asked to do, so I'm certainly not going to complain about it.
Since Clovis is a smaller town than Fresno, do you feel like your responsibilities, that you have a little bit more responsibilities, that they fall on your shoulders because there's not as many people to necessarily sift through everything? Sometimes you feel like you get called upon things more than a mayor of a bigger city might get called upon.
Actually, I think it's probably the other way around. In a larger city, you have most of the larger cities have strong mayors that they're elected as the mayor. The mayor has specific powers that are in the charter. In smaller towns, and Clovis is going to be 120,000 people here if we're not already. Obviously, we have, as all the council members have power, but as a group, if I'm the one vote against the four, I still lose. Or you have to be able to count to three to be able to win in either pass something or vote against something. So we're all on the same page. We're even if we disagree on things, which we do, which is actually what we should, because if we were all in agreement, we're probably not the right folks. But we all have what's in the best interests of our city at heart.
Well, I was wondering because I think you've probably been to a lot of the restaurants and bars in Clovis. I mean, that's the thing, whereas the mayor of Fresno probably has not hit up every spot, but in the main hub of Old Town Clovis, I'm sure you've eaten at all the different restaurants and everything. So if somebody had a problem, like let's say with their liquor license and you've eaten there before, do you think sometimes they go up to you and be like, well, hey, we have this problem, what do we do? Whereas they might not even be able to access another man or another town. Do people hit you up with different situations that you're like, I'm just kind of coming out today to do this. I really don't want to deal with this. And this is like an honest question.
It does happen. People will say, what do you think about this? And sometimes you give your opinion. Sometimes you have to withhold judgment because you're not exactly sure the information if they're giving you information, is it information correct? Or right. Sometimes you're in a position to have some knowledge about something, and you kind of guide them by telling them that's not the information you're saying isn't exactly accurate. Here's the truth. And sometimes people will go, I didn't know that. Well, I mean, that's one of my functions, is to let people know what we're doing and why we're doing it.
I would just think like maybe the Chicos, for example, if something was going on, they'd be like, well, you come here all the time. Why is this happening now? Or why are we getting this? Does that fall? Because I know that was happening a lot on Tuesday. There was a lot of confusion. Everybody kind of felt slighted. All these small business owners were feeling slighted at their establishments. How did you handle that?
Well, I wasn't directly involved in those things, obviously. And I have one of my sons is a business owner. And so on one hand, there are times when I purposefully step back because of either a conflict of interest or a perceived conflict of
Oh,
interest.
that's good.
And there are going to be times where people come up and they'll complain about something, and I'll have to say, well, that's kind of the way things are. And and you listen, you're polite, you try to help them as best you can, and or get them connected to someone who can help them. You mentioned like ABC licenses. I can't help them with their ABC license. That's a state thing. But I can help them with permits by telling them, call this person. And so I can at least get them to the person who can help them, or at least give them more information.
So the fact that it's your local favorite hangout spot has nothing to do. They still have to go through all these channels, and you can't really help.
Oh, absolutely not. You would love to be able to do that, but that's when things get a little strange.
And that's why I have a heart for you. I imagine that's got to be very hard to.
Well, I have to tell you, not really. I've been a cop for over 40 years. I learned a long time ago to tell people no.
That's good. No, that's a very important trait as mayor, to just be like, this is how you do it. This is the right avenue to go through. I mean, you have to be like that. I just had a lot of empathy because Wednesday I was going through, everybody's like, well, are we allowed to do this? This is Clovis. This is Fresno. Why can't we? It's like, I have no answers, and people were looking like I had answers. So somebody that has more answers than me, I thought you might be getting bombarded with a lot of questions.
Well, we are a sovereign city. We have our own council. We do our thing. The city of Fresno, they have their own elected officials. They do their thing. We're in the county of Fresno. But we all cooperate because we all share the same air, the same water, the same, our citizens work in Fresno. Some Fresno citizens work in Clovis.
Right.
We cross borders. It's not something where we want to take something from them or they want to take something from us. We cooperate. Mm-hmm. What's in the best interest of our citizens.
Do you feel like you know what's going on as much as you can in a time-efficient manner with what's going on in California? Like when these rules keep changing, do you feel like you're on it, like you're one of the first people to know? And do you feel like we're getting the information in a timely fashion?
No, I don't. Here, the problem we ran into with the governor's order that came out, every time you put out something like that, there's always exceptions. And when you don't drill down into the exceptions, people get confused and
Right.
like, well, what about this and what about that? And so since Thursday, we've come out with and it's on our city website, cityofclovis.com. You can get what establishments must be closed, what establishments can stay open under what circumstances. You mentioned gyms. I know that I was told that GB3 was open in Clovis on Wednesday and Thursday when the ones in Fresno were closed because the governor's order had not filtered all the way through to other cities. Those things are going to happen. The problem is it's still a bit of a moving target, and trying to stay on top of it can be daunting.
And right now, this is the law, because some people are saying, oh, it's just suggested that they're closing. The businesses are voluntarily closing. It's just a suggestion. Right now, it's an actual law that these gyms must be closed and these restaurants must be closed and stop being open at the bar, right? It's not suggested anymore. What's the rule?
It is the order of the state of California that these businesses have to close, or they have to alter their way of doing business to meet the requirements. But if someone was to say, I'm not doing it, then they'd have to deal with the police power of either the state of California, county of Fresno, city of Fresno, city of Clovis. We're going to visit them and tell them. We haven't had anybody you can't make me do it, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, we don't want to have to make them do it, but we will, because that is the law.
I'm just clarifying because there was a lot of confusion, and
Sure.
people keep on asking me out of just genuinely wanting to know. And I know people were getting, because we were a little delayed. Clovis was a little delayed, and I lived in Los Angeles for 15 years. So all my friends from Los Angeles were looking on my social media like, "Why is that open? Why is this? We're on lockdown. You know, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "We're abiding by it. I'm pretty sure all the businesses I'm with are abiding by, the rules. It just we were a little delayed in how we were handling the situation." Because we were told we could be, right? I mean, we followed the rules as the moment they came in.
Well, I don't know that we were delayed. We did what we saw as the proper thing to do when the governor came out with his order. It overrode it overrode our local control,
Right. Okay.
which I don't have a problem with. I mean, that's the governor has a role.
So, how do you foresee? I know it's so impossible to foresee the future on this and how things are going. What does it look like the situation is as of now?
Well, I really can't speak to the medical portion of it just because I don't know that I have enough information, enough reliable information. I think what we're going to see is for the next 2 weeks will probably consistent with what's going on now. Hopefully, in 2 weeks, things will the outbreak or things will have broken through one way or another, so that either things will start getting back to normal, or I mean, I guess the worst case scenario, and you always have to prepare for that. The worst case scenario is it could get worse. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but that's something that I have no expertise in.
And so, a stay-in-place order, that's where we just stay at home. We can't even go out to the grocery, or is that different? What is the different? These are all new terms to all of us, I think, that we didn't know. What is a stay-at-home order, and how is that different than what we're doing now, being on lockdown?
Well, the terminology is shelter in place, and what it means is that if you're not in an essential profession, and there's a list of those, most government jobs, housing, medical, some educational, you're asked to stay home unless you're going out for food, clothing, necessities. And the reason they want you to stay home is so that you can reduce the potential of exposure to the virus, and the people who have been exposed will be able to get medical care more quickly because people haven't unnecessarily exposed themselves. It's kind of the Benjamin Franklin, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure kind of situation.
Right.
And so people are asked to just do things at home for now.
So that's what we're asked to do right now.
Correct.
So it can't get worse than how it is now, as far as, can they say no driving period? No. Is that something we're looking at? I know you can't know for absolute sure, but
I don't know. That would take either an action of the governor or potentially a federal action. No city's going to do that. I cannot foresee a city doing that. That's a higher level governmental function, because and just from my perspective, I was uncomfortable based on 3 people with COVID taking away the constitutional rights to come and go in a free society from all of the citizens in Clovis based on those sets of circumstances. If the public contact cases had gone up, I certainly would have been a much more amenable to at least looking at that and saying this is reasonable. But I didn't see the reasonableness. And the governor made his decision based on the totality of the state and the worst case scenarios. So he couldn't say, okay, for the Central Valley, this is what we're going to do, and because then it's an unequal thing, and everybody's going to be unhappy. Hopefully things don't get worse where more draconian measures had to be taken. I certainly don't want to see that.
So a lot of people are asking, what's the difference between martial law and the National Guard's coming and making sure everything's facilitated? I think that's what everybody's worried about. And to your knowledge, what's the best explanation of what the difference is between that?
I martial law is when the federal government, they federalize the National Guard. In other words, the National Guard usually answers to the governor. They will nationalize the National Guard. Then now they're answering to the National Command Authority and are given direction. The National Guard then they take a role in the government that normally never occurs in a free democracy where the military is involved in governance.
And then the cops would lose their power, correct?
No.
Okay.
They wouldn't. I have never dealt with this, so I don't know the ins and outs of it. But what it does is that it adds the military into governance that normally they don't play a role in. I mean, obviously, the military doesn't have the ability to police. That would still be a police function. They're certainly not going to be collecting the refuse, making the water run. But what they would probably end up doing is ensuring safety and federal assets and resources to help out. But I don't foresee, short of some type of insurrection, that happening.
And that would be if there was chaos, like if we weren't handling what was being handled, right? Right now, everybody seems to be managing and going in accordance, correct? Like Fresno and Clovis, for the most part, you see.
I think we'll be fine. I think people understand the potential hazard, and they care about their neighbors. They don't want to bring anything home to their family. I think in 5 weeks this might be in our rearview mirror, and we'll be back trying to get our businesses back in line, getting our lives back in order. Hopefully, I mean, but if you look what occurred in 1918 with the Spanish flu, thankfully we're not there. That was horrid.
As far as crime goes, have you noticed numbers drop or consistent or about the same in the last few weeks?
I really haven't checked. I haven't been briefed on any increases. One of the advantages of having a stay-at-home kind of situation is at 3 a.m, most people aren't going to be coming back and forth to go to work. So, I mean, when I was a police officer at 3 a.m, it was usually the Fresno Bee, the police officers, and the people who were out stealing cars. And so as soon as you knew who your Fresno Bee people were, you looked for the other people.
Right. So what do you hope to see in your term during May, or how long is your term as mayor?
I rotate out next April, and I go to the end of the line. It's a two-year gig. So the next Jose Flores, a friend of mine, he's the next guy up. He's been the mayor before. He's been on the council for 20 years. So I think he's been the mayor twice before. So we'll have some experienced people at the helm, and that's always helpful.
So what do you hope to see during your time? I know that you've taken on a lot more than you anticipated in these 2 years.
I was hoping that we were going to be able to rebuild the police department and get some things in order, but I think the fiscal hit that we're going to take in this situation, we're going to have to reevaluate. It could set us back a little bit. I think it's going to take our economy 12 to 18 months to get back on track once we get this in our rearview mirror. This has really put some businesses on their heels.
So now your priorities of mayor have kind of shifted. Everything shifted of what you were going for.
It's been, the new reality is a little different, but we don't even know what that is because it changes day to day.
Do you have any advice at all for small business owners in the Clovis Fresno area? I know it's, like you said, everything changes, but what would your advice be?
Adapt. Find out what you can do, and maybe your business model changes a little bit so that you can still serve your your normal customers, but in a different way, whether it's online, by mail. Some restaurants are selling their meals out the door. And so, which is, I mean, most of them had takeout service, but now takeout service is
Your only
is their only means of doing it. And that's where you just gotta overcome and adapt.
And now I heard they're doing alcohol to go, right? If it's in a cup that's with a lid and everything. How do you feel about that? I bet you never thought that was going to be happening.
It's permitted by the Business Profession Code. Obviously, we don't want people drinking in their vehicles.
Right.
There are specific, it has to go in the trunk or into an area where the driver can't access it.
Oh, really? I have a two-seater.
Well, you'd have to put it potentially as far away as you can possibly get.
I haven't done this yet, so that's why I'm actually asking. I have a two-seater. I don't even know where I'd put. They'd give us a to-go cart, and then I'd put it like on the floor on the passenger side.
I'm assuming, basically, I haven't seen your car.
Because that'd be weird to put in the trunk, though, because it could still.
Right. Well, if you have trunk space, that's where you're supposed to put it. But there are specific rules, and at least one of the businesses that is doing it is making sure people get a card with it. Here are the rules, because they don't want to get in trouble, and they also don't want to see anyone injured, because they have an ethical obligation to make sure that their customers are safe and our community is safe.
One thing I appreciate, I've been getting like email updates from the city of Clovis. That's how every time there's a new case, it's been showing. Is that if you're a small business owner that you get the updates, or you've been doing that to all the citizens registered to vote within Clovis?
Well, we have a website. From the Clovis. We do a lot of Facebook. It's a lot of Twitter. We do Facebook pushes for certain things to make sure that we get out to our citizens of different demographics.
Right. I appreciate that. There was mail. I'm like, how are they emailing? How do they know who I am? They emailed me. It was awesome. I was like, very prompt, the city of Clovis.
We have a very good public information officer. All of our city departments have been using social media very hard to get things out, and it works well. I mean, we're able to put out the best image for the city. We're able to put out information that citizens need, and they appreciate, and they get to comment back, even negative comments. So that we can always do something better. But for the most part, people at the very least say thank you for telling me, because in the the unfortunate part with lack of information is then you listen to whoever's talking, and then you have the Facebook medical department showing up telling you about things that they have no idea about, and then all this misinformation that tends to get out there.
Do you feel like your background in the military and in the police force has helped you, has equipped you to be a really great functioning mayor?
Well, it helped me in my life. It helped me be a better decision maker. It helped me deal with the foolishness that sometimes we all have to deal with at times. It helped me deal with the frustrations of dealing with difficult situations, and it also helped me become a person who can make decisions based on the information in hand, even if they're unpopular decisions.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been an education for all of us, because I know everybody just has questions, and I really think you've answered so many questions that we all have.
Well, thank you. Are you a Clovis girl?
Yes, I am.
Good for you.
What if it shatters away, disintegrates? What if it breaks? Seen too many sparks turning into broken hearts. Seen too many.
Welcome to CentralValleyTalk.com, the coronavirus fun and food headquarters. If you're hunkered in your bunker, hungry and need to eat, there is an option for food in Fresno's Tower District. Livingstone's restaurant is open for takeout dining for lunch or dinner. Livingstone's is located at 831 East Fern near with Shawn. Call them up, place your order, then pick it up. Call Livingstone's, 554-9662. Livingstone's, behind the old Bank of America building in the Tower District, 554-9662.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out. All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
For all your real estate needs, call Julia Tadich with Clovis First, 559-323-2213, or visit clovisfirst.com. That's CLOVIS, the numeral 1, ST.com. Whether you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, get a loan, or whatever the case may be, call Julia Tadich.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find the Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
At Laulea Travels, we strive to make your vacation experience as relaxing as possible. From the time you start dreaming about it to the time you're sharing your vacation photos with your friends and coworkers. Our vow is to treat your vacation as if it were our own. If personal service, attention to detail, and years of travel experience are important to you, then let Laulea Travels plan your next dream vacation. Visit lauleatravels.com or call 559-360-1933.
A dynamic litigator, in-tune listener, and forward thinker with almost a decade of experience, Nasser Nekumanish is a skilled attorney servicing clients throughout the Central Valley. When you need a lawyer, call 559-441-0114 and ask for Nasser Nekumanish.
Linda Lee Kane is an author of fantasies, thrillers, contemporary fiction, and children's books. Order a book by Linda Lee Kane on Amazon or on lindaleekane.com. Get twice the results in half the time. Call 559-349-7934 to schedule your appointment with Clovis Fit Body Boot Camp today. And follow Fit Body Boot Camp Clovis on Instagram.
Welcome to Central Valley Talk, the coronavirus fun and food headquarters. If you're hunkered in your bunker, hungry and need to eat, there's an option for food in Fresno's Tower District. Bobby Salazar's is standing by with individual meals or a pre-cooked meal that will keep you fed for days. Keep it in your freezer and heat it as you need it. Bobby Salazar's is located at 725 East Olive at Broadway. Call them up, place your order, then pick it up. Call Bobby Salazar's at 497-9920. Bobby Salazar's in the Tower District, 497-9920.
When you need to get fit, contact Gary Torres, IFBB Pro, specializing in weight loss, body transformations, and contest prep. Email Gary Torres 5336@yahoo.com.
You've got so many scars. I'm wondering just who you are. Got so many fears. I'm wondering why you aren't here.
Welcome back to the Everything Sparkle Show. With us, we have Shawn Beaty. How are you, Shawn?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, something big is going on.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but hey, glad to be here though.
Last time, your wife, how is she doing, by the way?
My wife Kelly is doing really well, and she's probably watching right now. Hi, sweetie. And she is. So there's been no progression in her cancer, which is awesome. It's kind of one of those that doesn't go into remission. You just hope and pray that there's no progression. So far there's been no progression, so we're blessed. We're really glad.
Well, one thing I want to point out though is for some reason she looks healthier than the rest of us, and she looks younger than everybody.
She's a beast. Yeah.
How does she look like that when she went through all that?
She's got good genes. Her mom looks very young too. And she does yoga every day, and she walks, 3 to 5 miles every day, and just eats really well, does a ketogenic diet, very strict. So yeah, she takes good care of herself. Are you still doing that
too? You're still on the keto?
I am. I do what I call the Cheeto, which is most of the time I am. Every now and then I cheat, but I do it in solidarity just to help her. It's easier when you're doing it with someone, kind of thing.
Right. So for sure.
Yep. No, my heart hasn't stopped yet, so I'm good.
How are the puppies? Your new additions to the family.
Yeah, we have an English bulldog, and she had 7 English bulldog puppies, and they're 10 days old. So the first 2 weeks is touch and go. It's 24 hours a day. Like, we're always having to watch them, always having to help feed them, always having to make sure they go to the bathroom. It has been an incredible amount. It's been actually a nice distraction among the coronavirus thing going on. And our kids are home from school, so that was a blessing because they're helping with the puppies.
That is good that they have that now.
We, as much as the coronavirus is terrible, like, that has been a hidden blessing in our life, is that our kids are home and able to help us with it, because it's a lot.
Do you think we're going to have a lot of those blessings as a society? Because right now I feel like we are kind of growing stronger. We are caring about our neighbor. We are a little bit less self-absorbed than we were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I do. I think if you look for it. Some people will not. Some people will only look at what they lost, if that makes sense, because there will be loss. The mayor talked about it. There's going to be a financial hit. No one really knows how big it's really going to be in the end. It could be really big. It could be something we bounce back from. But if you look at it from eyes of what I had instead of, well, what do I have? Then it's going to be a bad thing. But there are always, whenever there's drastic change, if you'll lean into that change, you can find a lot of good things in it. It does. It makes you stronger in the long run. I was reading a Scottish theologian today named William Barclay, and he talked about how most people never grow as a human in prosperity. They usually grow in a time of trial. And he told the story of Hannibal of Carthage, who was this famed general in the Second Punic War against Rome. North Africa was fighting against Rome, and he had come in all the way across Africa, all the way across Europe. He had controlled the southern part of Italy. He was going to take Rome, and then winter hit, and they stayed in his army stayed in the city of Capo, which is like a really posh city. And they spent winter in Capo, and it ruined them because they were totally living in luxury. And when spring came, their army was so soft when they went to war with Rome, and the Roman army wiped them out. So, like, sometimes trials, like, no pressure, no diamonds, right? You're a fitness girl, right? It doesn't, if there's no resistance, there's no muscle. So that's one of the things I always tell people as we're leaning into this. Yeah, it's not fun.
So everything in life has to be hard? Is that what you're saying, Shawn?
No, not always. There's time for rest, One of the other unintended consequences of this is we live in a society where typically in a family, mom and dad are both working. Kids are in 4 or 5 sports. They're in AP classes. They're doing lessons. They're doing all these things, and we're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Are.
And this is a forced Sabbath on our lives. Mine too, even. Where I've had to, it was really hectic for a bit, but now it's like, okay, I've just got to stay home and be with my family and, learn to rest, which I think a lot of us, we struggle with.
Definitely.
So I think God's rest for us is really a remedy for us trying to take control of everything in the world, if that makes sense, when you just have to rest and trust him. So there are good things that come from it. I don't want to just blow sunshine and rainbows. It's hard right now too.
Did you go through what I had asked the mayor about? Were a lot of people overwhelming you with questions?
Yeah. So in my job, I have to make a lot of decisions, and people a lot of times they want to know from their pastor, what do I think about what's going on, and what are we going to do, and what should a Christian do, and how should we respond? And that was a little tricky last week. I think we've kind of leaned in, and it feels like it's not changing every day now. Like, there's only one more step, martial law, right?
Right.
At this point. So, yeah, it was hard, but it definitely has eased up. And, I don't have decisions like the mayor makes. He makes decisions that affect a lot of people. For me, I'm just trying to point people's hearts in the right direction so that we can navigate this thing.
So I know it was hard for you because you did not want to close the church. And I remember it was 2 Sundays ago. You're like, we'll always be open unless we were told not to. And then boom.
We were told not to.
Yeah, 2 Sundays later it was like, oh boy, But then we went down, went down to 250 for that last Sunday.
Yeah.
The last Sunday we were around, it was like down to the 250 to boom, like 50 or less. And then.
Yeah, that was, it's funny because, I did a sermon like two weeks ago. 3 Sundays ago about why we gather as a church. And for 2,000 years, Christians have gathered to worship on a Sunday, on the Lord's Day. And it was my goal that the church never, ever be closed on a Sunday on the Lord's Day because that has been important to Christians for that long. So then they're like, hey, you can't gather in groups of more than 250. And our church is a large church, thousands of people. So I just said, okay, well, we're going to do 10 services. And we'll just spread it out because I said we're not going to close. So we tried doing that. And then right after that, they closed it down to under 50 and then to 10 before the weekend ever hit. So we've been doing online services. And there have been 10 people in the church on a Sunday morning because we've been doing it live. And we have a Spartan tech crew and a worship team. And we've just been pulling it off. And ironically, I think we had more people watching this Sunday than come live.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, it's a captive audience right now, right, people? Some people are watching this right now. Like, you're going to have probably your highest ratings this week because we're all at home on our phones
They're
going,
forced
what do
to
we
watch
do?
it.
Oh, I'll watch Sparkle. What's going on? You know what I mean? And that's a good thing, I think. It sucks to be stuck at home, but, in tough times, you've got to innovate. I remember during the 2008 recession, I had friends that were in the mortgage industry, in the real estate industry, and they would tell me, Shawn, I don't even know what to do. I'm just stuck. I go to work, and I know I'm going to get canned, and I don't even know what to do. I just stare at my computer. I can't even return emails. I'm just frozen. And sometimes, we get frozen by that, and you have to just lean in and do something. And when you lean in and you do something, all of a sudden, that's when innovation kicks in and you start thinking outside the box. And you never know what you innovate could change the game in the industry you work in too. And and then you find prosperity in a different way. So,
like you said, it's been challenging for you because you said that you don't want to be a televangelist.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible. This Sunday, I'm like, talking in the television, you out there on internet world. I felt like a total televangelist. It was such irony. I think if any of the guys I made fun of over my life were watching, they were like, "Thank you, Lord." Anyways, yeah, it's true. But we're trying to innovate right now. We're figuring out how to get an FM transmitter or partner with an FM radio station or an AM radio station and do church in the parking lot on Easter. I think that would be super fun, like a drive-in church.
Yeah.
We'll do a live cast as well so people can watch at home. But if some people want to do a drive-in theater and drive into our parking lot, we have an Easter service and we kind of have fun with it. I think that, we need to do some stuff that breaks the mold and have fun with it. Stay in your car, let's keep our appropriate distance. You'll notice we have a good distance going right here. But we got to have fun with it and let's innovate and let's think out of the box, right?
Right. Have you had any hard questions come to you that you were like, gosh, how do I answer this? Because this is all a new territory. So has it been hard for you to answer some of the questions coming your way?
Yeah. Someone asked me, they asked a series of questions. Is God punishing our country? Or is God punishing the world? Is God punishing me? They asked next. And I said, I don't necessarily know if God is punishing the world or our country. I think there's a consequence to disease. It just spreads. It's just kind of how biology works. And in the Bible, in Genesis 3, it talks about when the first people sinned, that evil and death and those kind of things entered the world after sin. And it's been wreaking havoc on our world ever since. That's why you have earthquakes and volcanoes and hurricanes and sicknesses and coronavirus and Ebola and things like that. And it's a consequence of the disobedience, but it's not God throwing thunderbolts at you. I honestly believe this, that it says in Psalm 23 that God walks through us through the darkest valleys. That those valleys he knows are going to happen. I mean, they happen in our life. We've been through tough times, and we'll be through tough times. But God walks with us through those things if you choose to walk with him. You can go through it on your own, or you can go through it with him. That's really, he respects you so much. That's kind of your choice in the matter. Is it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, you are with me. Your rod guides me. It protects me. Do you want God to walk with you through this, or do you want to walk on your own through it? That's ultimately the question. I think of just in history, my grandfather's generation, some of them went through World War I, and then the prosperity of the Roaring '20s, and then they went through the Depression, and then they went through World War II. Like that, I mean, they went through a lot, but they just kept bouncing back. And I think resiliency is something that God made us to have. And it can be a great thing along the way. We just have to lean into it. So always the question, did God do this? Is God angry at us? I don't necessarily think that that's what's going on. I know there's probably pastors out there that's like, oh, God's mad at America for this or for that. That's typically, God hasn't told me that. So I'm just going to stick to what the scripture says.
We're all kind of going through this as a world. This isn't even America anymore. We're all kind of in on this.
Yeah. And there's been sicknesses and plagues and things like that have plagued humanity. And it's just part of biology. It's what happens. The thing I find about the Christian faith is that you find that it's the only faith where God enters into human suffering and suffers with us.
Right.
Jesus left all comfort to come and be human, and not just human, but like live in poverty and then die the death of a criminal. You know what I mean? There's no other religion where they would even consider God suffering. But see, Christianity says that God came to find us, and he entered into our suffering, and he entered into the broken world that we live in. Because have you looked around? It's pretty broken, right?
Right.
So Jesus is the only one that entered into our broken world to really infect it with the gospel, with his goodness, with what he's doing. And the world it's tough right now. But I do believe that God has a plan, and he's going to walk us through it, those who will walk with him through it, if that makes sense.
Well, it's funny because my growth group, we're going through the book of Revelations, and then this happens, and then we're like, is this kind of the end? Is this what's going on? I know some people have asked that. Every time something happens, they're like, oh, it's the end. It's the end. How do you feel about that?
Well, I wonder that sometimes. But I know in the Gospels, Jesus said only the Father knows when he's returning, when the end of days are, when the end of the age is. And Jesus didn't even know when it was going to be.
Wow.
So if Jesus didn't know, I don't need to speculate that much, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like, if it is, awesome. I wish he'd come back today. Because for those that know Jesus, that's a great thing.
That's what I always think.
you know what I mean? But, and there's different views about the end times too. So some people believe in what's called a rapture. And that's kind of the popular view of evangelical Christianity in the last 150 years, is that Jesus is going to come. He's going to take his believers with him. And then there's going to be a tribulation and plagues and Antichrist, and if that happens, I think Bob Saget's going to be the Antichrist. I'm kidding, by the way. Don't quote me on that. But and then he's going to return and establish his kingdom, and there'll be heaven on earth and a new earth and all that. But that's not the actual historical Christian view. That's a rather new view of Christianity, of the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel. Typically, Christians over the last 2,000 years, we've all agreed on one thing. At some point, Jesus is going to come back. We don't know how it's going to unfold. We're not fully sure what all that looks like. But we just think he's going to come back, has been the traditional view. And a rapture and things like that is kind of a new view and a new interpretation of Revelation and Daniel, if that makes sense. And I'm sure there might be someone listening that disagrees, but check your history. That's pretty typical.
No, that's very good. What do you think of as a community, how we've been responding and reacting? How do you feel our reactions are as a church? How do you feel we're reacting? Do you feel like we're doing okay? Or I mean, I know you see the people buying all the toilet paper off the shelf, and that's obviously not a reaction. But have you been seeing some good reaction? You're like, oh, I'm proud of my church. I'm proud that people are doing this. Or have you seen some of that going on?
Yeah, for sure. I think So I always tell people what you're full of will come out of you when you get shaken. Right? So there are times where like anger comes out of me and then I go, I'm full of the wrong stuff right now. Do you know what I mean? And I've got to go to God and really work on that. And I've seen that during this time. But I've also seen the very same people turn around and bless a stranger too. So what I think the initial stress has freaked people out, but what you're going to see is more and more sharing. Even the people that hoarded, right? They're like, hey, I got eggs. Hey, I got toilet. They're going to start sharing with other people now. And I've seen a lot of that even in our church. That's going on. People are sharing. Our growth groups are sharing stuff with each other, sharing with their neighbors. We're setting up a food distribution center at our Old Town campus in Old Town Clovis.
We had the big Easter plan to.
Yeah, it's a bummer. We had a grand opening for our Old Town Clovis campus that has got postponed. But we're setting up a food distribution center. We're doing a respite right now. There's people in our church that are coming and doing respite for families with special needs. I want you to think about it. If you have a child with a severe handicap, how do you get to the store? If they're in a wheelchair or they're quadriplegic and you don't have anyone to watch them. So we're doing a respite for some of those families, which has been really cool. And we've got some people in our church that have just said, hey, I'm not working. I'm home. I can watch your kids for a couple hours. And I've seen people post pictures of them with other people's kids. And that's been a really cool thing.
Is that risky or is that okay? Because I was nannying, as you know, and that job they were like, oh, we're afraid just.
Yeah, I think it depends. What I've found, though, is that coronavirus is not deadly for
children.
There's been no children die of it in the West, is what I have heard. So people have done that, but I think people are adults too, and we need to make adult decisions. Mm-hmm. It's great that our leaders are making decisions for us, but I also think like people are free beings and they can make those decisions. I think if you are have an immune deficiency or you're older, you should probably like really be super careful. And if you have kids and you have older people live in the house, you definitely should keep your kids quarantined as well.
Right.
I know in my house, like I have teenagers and we don't really have access to older people. Like their grandparents live in another state. My parents are deceased. So like we're not interacting with older people like that. So like I know, if I get the coronavirus, it's going to suck, but I'm pretty healthy. I'm going to get through it. My wife even, with cancer, she's been done with her chemo for about 6 months now, and her immune system is rebounded. She's strong. You've seen her, those kind of things. So I think that people need to be adults. You need to be very careful. You need to keep your distance. But if someone's a first responder and their kids need to be watched, we should probably watch them.
Right, yeah.
I'll watch them. You take them? Well, you can't because you'll kill our puppies right now. But in another 2 weeks, you could, and they can come play with dogs. So anyways.
What have you thought about your response to everything? Or are any of your emotions surprising you, like you said, about anger or sadness? What's been coming out of you?
Yeah. I'll be honest. I was really bothered that the government was telling me what to do. I really was. I just have a rebellious streak in me. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, everyone, yeah, so California government is really big on separation of church and state. And suddenly you can tell us what to do. And, but I know what the Bible says. And the Bible says that the leaders that are in place, God has appointed them. And I need to respect them. So even though I feel that way, I have to respect them, and I have to respect what that is. It says it in Romans 13. And when Paul wrote that, the Apostle Paul wrote that, do you know who the emperor was at the time? Nero. Nero's the guy that burned Christians alive and fed them to the lions and did all that. And Paul said, that person has been appointed there by God, and we'll respect him. And the Christians did that, and it's crazy. So I could probably put up with Governor Newsom or a president I don't like or whatever if the first century Christians were dealing with Nero. Does that make sense? Like I hear Christians, they'll complain about whether it's Trump or Obama.
Right.
And I'm like, read Romans 11 through 13 and realize the first Christians were dealing with Nero, and we could probably get over it. Our leaders aren't that bad. So that was the emotion I had, though. Like, I was just more defiant, like, no, kind of thing. And I just preached a sermon on why we gather, too. So
I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think as a Christian, I felt very safe about everything going on. Like, if this is my time, this is my time.
Yeah.
This and that. I know my struggles, though. What came up in me, the only time I got upset was because, like, I lost all of my income, basically.
Yeah.
And people were trying to sell me things. And that upset me because there were things I was looking into before all this had happened.
Yeah.
I was had saved a little money. I was looking to invest. So like vultures, everybody was on me. Like, oh, you needed to get life insurance to get this, and I'm just like, I'm not looking for a handout. I'm gonna be fine. I have a savings. Like, I'll be fine for a couple months. But don't try to get me to now's not the time to get me to purchase something. Yeah. So that was my reaction. That was my negative reaction.
Yeah, I could see that because and everyone kind of naturally starts grabbing when there's less. Right. It's like a human instinct. I went to the store last week to get eggs, and the line was like out to the street.
Did you wait?
So I waited. I was like, well, I had a morbid curiosity. I wanted to see. So then I get in there, and I'm like watching everyone grab everything, and I'm like, well, since I'm here, I better get stuff. You know what I mean? I started buying stuff that I didn't need, and then I was like, I got out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just fell prey to the very thing I was making fun of. You know what I mean? Now I didn't hoard anything, but I was just buying things, even though, like, I know I had a gallon of milk at home, but I'm like, I better get another because I don't want to wait in this line again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, if I can get, instead of a dozen eggs, I better, if they'll let me get two, I'll get two because I don't want to wait in this line. So there's some of that too. It's not so much that we're like greedy, but like, man, it feels terrible though. So I could totally imagine there's guys, trying to sell insurance. They're like, oh God, the economy's crashing. I got to sell some more insurance. And then, but it's on your behalf.
Yeah. There were people that were friends of mine. So I was a little bit like, yeah. But that's my only reaction that was negative so far with this,
Yeah.
We'll see as time goes on. We don't know until we're shaken. Like you said, this is a little shake, but we don't know what's to come. So we might get shaken even more. So.
Yeah. And, I always just tell people, and I'm the same way, I'm not perfect. But let's try and think the best of people and forgive people. Draw boundaries, right? If someone's trying to take advantage of you, draw boundaries. But, like when someone is stupid, let's forgive them.
Right. And
because we'll probably do some stupid things during these times.
And go gravitate towards the church.
Yeah.
And gravitate towards. So we have the Saturday night and the Sundays for Clovis Hills.
Yeah.
Oh, is there stuff that's going to happen during the week, like last week when there was supposed to be stuff? And do we have to log on, or is it going to come on your Facebook feed?
If you go to the Clovis Hills Facebook, we'll have stuff on Facebook Live. Our services are Saturday nights at 6 o'clock, Sundays at 9, and Sundays at 10:30. All three are live. And you can go to www.clovishills.com to watch it, or you can watch it on Facebook Live or Instagram Live. They're all on there. Just go to your social media feeds. You can watch it live. We're also during the midweek, like I'm going to be doing a live Bible study.
Oh, great!
We're trying to figure out what the best night to do it is. Probably Thursday night. And then our youth ministries are meeting. Actually, they're doing virtual meetings, which is a
Awesome.
lot of fun. My son's in the junior high group.
And he plays in the band.
He did. He played this Sunday in the band, which was a lot of fun. And they were doing a Zoom meeting with like 35 kids. And they were playing like trivia games and Bible trivia.
How fun.
I was watching him do it at my table. It was really fun. He was laughing and having a good old time. Our high school ministry is doing it via Facebook Live and Instagram TV and on our website on Wednesday nights as well. So we're trying to keep people connected, because the truth of the matter is you can be on social media and feel very isolated still. But if you can watch something live like this, and you can comment, and
fun,
and you can see it back and comment to the commenters and do things like that. We're hoping that people understand connection is what we need most right now. And maybe outside of our house connection too. People are probably really longing for that, and it gives them a bit of sanity. So that's what we're hoping to provide: connection to one another and to God. Because while you're sitting at home alone, it gets bored and you get idle and you start looking at things and thinking things and seeing things that really end up kind of corrupting your soul. It's kind of the garbage in, garbage out. Right. And we all fall prey to that, especially if we're stuck on a couch for 24 hours a day. So we want to provide at least something that's something healthy for your soul during the week.
And where can everybody go if they want to donate their time and do deliveries for the people that don't have the groceries, like you were saying, and take care of the kids? Where should we go for that to donate our time?
So we're developing it right now. You can go to www.clovishills.com or like us on Instagram, or follow us on Instagram, or like us on Facebook. And there'll be posts about that coming out, where you can drop things off at, and what kind of items we're looking forward to hand out and to bring to elderly people and kind of our most vulnerable people right now. So we're hoping to have that up by the end of the week, so that we can begin collecting and giving it out, because everyone's hoping that this will go for a short time, but if it doesn't, we want to make sure that we take care of the most vulnerable people in our society. And that's what Jesus would want us to do. So that's what we want to do.
And if you're not a member of Clovis Hills, you can still help out, and you can still get connected and look at the website. Yep. Thank you so much, Shawn.
Oh, man.
I appreciate you coming.
I love coming on.
Well, we appreciate this. I mean, I already feel better already.
Oh, good.
Just who you are, got so many fears. Wondering why you aren't here. When did it break? When did it shadow away, disintegrate?
If your home floods, who will you call? When your house springs a leak, it's time to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. Clean Master will be there in 60 minutes to start fixing your home. And Clean Master bills your insurance directly, saving you the hassle because you've got enough to worry about. Clean Master also offers carpet and upholstery cleaning, carpet repair, pet odor removal, and more. Remember, Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, 559-213-9430, and visit cleanmasterflood.com.
Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine, available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Forget about the higher good of food, right? You're growing a product that people enjoy really all over the world. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I think about that all the time. I think about the families sitting around a table, enjoying a meal. I just see that what we do brings families together.
I mean, we're blessed. We're in paradise for food.
The
Kern family of the Kern Family Farm invites you to eat delicious, nutritious, organic produce available at the Gnarly Carrot, located at 32954 Road 222 in North Fork, California. The Gnarly Carrot is a local, natural, seasonally changing market offering a wide range of products from local Central Valley vendors. Get your caffeine fix, grab a smoothie, and support small businesses. Learn more at kernfamilyfarm.com and visit the Gnarly Carrot today. Doctor in Sukasa allows you to connect with your doctor when you need a quick treatment. Avoid a trip to a medical clinic or emergency room and connect by video with your doctor from your home, work, or anywhere. Just go to drinsukasa.com on your phone, tablet, or computer. Dr. in Sukasa provides quality care that is convenient, bilingual, and affordable, so you are never left without access to health care. Visit drinsukasa.com today.
CentralValleyTalk.com